Hi everyone, Paisley here.
And this is Dr. Crow.
And today I finally tried the Wonder Challenge, where I attempt to build every wonder, 53 or 4 of them, I forgot the number, in a deity level game using only secret societies and barbs mode.
Yes, but we modified the challenge a bit so that we only quit the game if we miss a wonder that we have been to in real life.
And this is because we have other things to do and I wanted to make sure we could get a video out.
Right.
Also, don't forget to leave some comments telling us what you thought. I always love reading them. And also subscribe and like the video so other people can find it. So here we are playing as China. I did try out, I think, 15 different starts. And in this one, as you see, we've got deer for Temple of Artemis. We've got stone to the north for Stonehenge. And we also have floodplains, which are going to be really important for some of those early wonders like Edamanunki, Great Bath, and Great Garden? Hanging Garden.
Hanging Garden. They're great too, though.
And so we have been to a few important ones that are actually very challenging to get, right?
Yeah, Great Library we've been to. And
which I've lost so many times in this challenge.
Yeah, Pyramids. We haven't been to Stonehenge, though, so luckily that early one we missed.
Yes, but in this game, I'm going to attempt to get every single wonder. If we have or have not been, I'm just not going to restart if I miss one. So starting off with my plan here, as you see, I'm putting down some pins. It's really important to map out those first wonders so you know exactly where they're going and try to figure out exactly what the capital city is going to get and what your second cities are going to need.
And so we found the Great Cliffs of Dover,
which we have been to England, and yet we have never been to any of the natural wonders around. We haven't even been to Oxford University as academics. We did go to the Great Bend. Everything's
Big
great.
Ben. It should be called Great Bend. Why not?
Yes, in this second city, I'm thinking we need to think about the seaside wonders since we've been to a lot of those as well. And I think having the Cliffs of Dover right next to this city is what made me decide, okay, this is going to be one of the starting locations I'm going to attempt, because having that early boost to astrology, I think, is really key to getting Stonehenge. And I think Stonehenge has to be the first one you go for, right?
See, always AI goes for it too.
Let's start talking about the Stonehenge, since that is the first one we're going to be working on. What is a henge?
Well, a henge is just a circle. It's a ring of stones. And Stonehenge is the most famous, but it's not the only henge around. There's actually many henges.
What makes this Stonehenge so famous?
It's famous because the size of the stones is really enormous in comparison. Normally a henge, it'll be kind of fragments of stones. They can be much larger than Stonehenge, but they won't be quite as megalithic as these ones. They're from around 3000 BC, so roughly the same time as the pyramids.
And so in this game, it's unlocked with astrology and it has a lot of faith-related bonuses. Can you tell us why that is?
Well, Stonehenge famously lines up with the meridians, right, the different kind of solar and then lunar equinoxes. And so, it's a kind of site that I think is attributed a lot of ritual function. Nowadays, people kind of associate it with like Druidic religion, which is just a modern invention, has nothing to do with the Neolithic time period it was created. But, we assume it as a ritual site.
Okay, so then that also probably plays into why it gives you a free profit. I'm not exactly sure what relationship it has to that.
Yeah, I think that's just a mechanic to get you a free profit, I think.
Right. It's very OP. One of the reasons why when I get Code of Laws, I'm not going to be plugging in the +2 faith card or +1 faith card is because when you build it, it also gives you faith. So you don't really need to worry about gathering enough faith to get a pantheon, because just building it will eventually get you your pantheon.
And here we saw you using China's ability, which is that workers can add production to wonders, which is probably also overpowered, to be honest.
Well, the fact that I can build every wonder in the game using China, yeah, probably.
Yeah, a little bit.
Yes, but one of my strategies is to not put any production into the wonder itself through the city production mechanic, instead to only use builders. And here we meet Gilgamesh. Now, this is the perfect neighbor because he will be your friend on turn 1. And in my previous 14 attempts, I would say at least half of them, I just got murked. The other people just declared war on me. And because I was building wonders, I could not defend myself. So Gilgamesh as your neighbor, I think this was really lucky.
He's a good guy. He's a good guy.
Good guy, Gilgamesh.
GG.
But I have noticed that sometimes civs build wonders related to their civilization because they are related to the environment that they have a preference for. Does that make sense? So for example,
Right.
Gilgamesh is in floodplains in most of the games I've played against him, or Egypt will be in desert. So I've seen Egypt build pyramids and I've seen Gilgamesh build Edamananki. So this actually is a little stressful for me because it makes me think, oh my God, I don't want to lose Edamananki.
Right, and we'll see that I think in Civ 7, where it seems like civs have a predilection towards civs from their own wonder, or wonder from their own civs, I should say.
Yes, so in Civ 7, what we know is that there's going to be a wonder related to every civilization, and they get to unlock it early in their own civic tree. Now, that is going to be great for us when we role play civilizations, right? Because I actually have a recorded Egypt game that I'm never going to show because I lost pyramids. And I'm like, forget it. I hate this game. And back to the Stonehenge. One of the requirements is that it be on flat land and next to stone. Why do you think that is?
Flat land, I guess because it's on flat land.
Yeah.
And next to stone, actually, I think doesn't quite make sense because quite famously, you know, the blue stones in Stonehenge were carted from Wales, so many, many, many miles away. And we believe that actually some of the stones of Stonehenge, like the altar stone, were brought from Scotland, vast distances away. So for that reason, it should be like, stone can be like 5 tiles away or something.
That's true. It should be the city has no stone.
No stone, yeah.
Exactly. But one of the really great things about Stonehenge in the game is you don't actually need stoneworking technology. You don't need to work the stone. And here it is. So we're going to show you all the animations. I was able to stop myself from pressing escape. And looking at this here, it's not what it looks like today. Even though we never went, even though we were so close and we just didn't go.
No, it's in ruins today. I mean, it's fairly well preserved considering how old it is.
I wonder what the Google reviews say. I'm going to look that up. Let's see. Yeah, so it only has a 4.5, which we should look up the Google reviews for all of these. This might be one of the lowest rated wonders. It seems like a lot of people are complaining about the price.
Overpriced, can't get near stones, place is awful.
Stones are great.
Stones are great, though.
Yes, so I mean, I guess that's why we didn't plan on going, because at the moment I was like, what makes the Stonehenge so amazing is the technology, the history, what went into it. I don't think it looks particularly appealing when you get there, right? Should I not say this?
It's fine. The Stonehenge Tourism Board might come after you, but...
Right. So we get our free profit, which I think is very useful to scout around before we actually need to use it for our religion. And basically what I'm scouting for are some of the upcoming wonders. They are specific to the environment of the city. So not just, you know, the ones that is going to be next to the water, but I also need a city for Chichen Itza, for jungle. I'm thinking about desert, although I do have, I believe, enough desert in my capital for the pyramids and Jebel Barkal. So that solves a lot of issues there, but I need another desert city for Petra. So this is what I'm on the lookout for. And in terms of other strategies, the first governor I picked was Liang because you can get that extra governor charge. And that's actually why I needed secret societies on. That extra governor title you get early on from secret societies I found was definitely necessary, and it really helps you get those early wonders.
And so we placed the foundations for the Great Bath. This is an Indus Valley civilization wonder. Again, it's a bit generic because we do have a site called the Great Bath in the archaeological site of Mohenjo-Daro, but we don't know exactly how it was used, if it was like a ritual site, if it was just like as a reservoir. It kind of resembles a form called stepwells in India today. So maybe people kind of work back from that and think, oh, here's how it might have looked. But you'll see in the game, the Great Bath is kind of a more fanciful looking wonder. It's not very historically determined.
Right. And like what time period are they referencing with the Great Bath?
Around 3000 BC.
So the same as the Stonehenges.
Yeah, exactly.
And so this wonder gets you floodplain damage avoidance, and it also gives you faith when there is a flood. Can you try to make sense of those bonuses?
Yeah, well, I think it has to do with the way in which the Indus Valley civilization, as per its name, is in this river valley, right?
Okay.
So,
Yep.
so and this is the Indus River. So we have this whole hydrological cycle going on with the monsoons and the snow melt from the Himalayas, and so you have cycles of flooding, drought, and so I think this is designed to show that kind of management of the river system.
Right. And one of my professors, Anthony Achyavati, has written an excellent book called Ganges, the Water Machine. Is that right? Actually, I don't want to say it wrong. And I love this book. It's really great to look at, but it's so detailed and rich. And it sort of traces the history of the Ganges River. And one of the first chapters is about the religious aspect of rivers in Hindu tradition, but also just in the region generally. So can you tell us about how rivers play into the religious aspect? Why do we get faith on floodplains?
Yeah, here I think it's designed to show, again, that kind of sense of the river as a divine entity, the river having this kind of healing power, having this power of good luck, of protection from evil, and of this kind of nourishment, this kind of mothering quality from the river. Again, with Mohenjo-Daro, we're filling in a lot of details because we don't have that much information about their culture. But here it is right here. And yeah, you can see like kind of the way they're building it is kind of like this big structure. I think it has some domes that you can see here. And so this is a very fanciful depiction. It's kind of just imaginative.
Even today, rivers can hold a lot of religious and faith values. So I think sometimes we're working backwards. We think about what we have in, the Indus Valley today, and we apply it to the past. But I think we're just missing a lot of information from that time period, especially architecturally speaking. What is being shown, I think, is an amalgamation of different cultures in the region, different architectural styles. And I think, Dr. Johnson, who's working on Civ 7, was talking about how the earlier stuff is going to be a lot of guesswork. And I think we see that with some of the other wonders that are coming up, like the Hanging Gardens.
Right. I mean, Hanging Gardens famously is, we don't know if it was real or not, right? We don't know if there's actually a structure called Hanging Gardens or if it was more referring to a complex of different gardens in Mesopotamia. There's a very famous royal gardens at Nineveh that we do have depictions of, but again, they weren't hanging, they weren't a terrace structure, so it's hard to say.
Right, and that wonder is actually going to be in Civ 7 instead of Hanging Gardens, I assume, and it's an Assyrian wonder. So we think Assyria is pretty much confirmed. Although I haven't been keeping up with Civ News, so maybe it's already confirmed somewhere and I just haven't looked it up. But yeah, I think that wonder is telling me we may see Assyria instead of Babylon, but I think we also saw some
Edamananke maybe, I don't know.
Yeah, we'll see. But speaking of Edamananke, we are working on that now. So what can you tell us about Edamananke, another wonder we maybe don't know much about?
Yeah, I mean, here we know it existed, unlike Hanging Gardens. This is the central ziggurat of Babylon. It's dedicated to the city god Marduk. And, we kind of have a pretty good idea about its appearance because we have other examples of ziggurats in Mesopotamia.
Are they standing today?
They are, but the difference between a ziggurat and like a pyramid, for instance, like an Egyptian pyramid, is that Egyptian pyramids were entirely stone, but ziggurats were usually mud in the middle and then fired brick on the outside, which means that once the fired brick exterior crumbled or was damaged, it was very easy for the whole structure to turn just into a giant mound of mud, basically.
And that's what we have left a lot of, right?
Oh, we have a lot of those, a lot of like
mounds of mud.
Yeah, we have the cores of ziggurats existing. Some places like in Ur, we've kind of reconstructed the exterior, but that is, again, a modern reconstruction.
I thought the difference between a ziggurat and a pyramid was the steps on a ziggurat. Is that not it?
Well, there are step pyramids in Egypt too. That was before they figured out how to do what do you call it?
Slants?
Slants? I don't know. I'm gonna feel like smooth sides, I guess.
Smooth sides.
They made step pyramids.
In this game, the ziggurat gives you a lot of science. I'm trying to remember exactly what it gives you. Science on floodplains, production on floodplains, and also science on marshes. So do you know what the relationship is there?
I think it's trying to kind of show Mesopotamian science developing, right? That sense of mathematics, or a lot of things that we have today, like 360 degrees of a circle. Those come from Mesopotamian mathematics, right? So it's kind of showing that origin there. One thing about Mesopotamia is that it's very flat. So when you think about what the landscape would have looked like, these structures would have been incredible as observatories, as just markers on the landscape.
Right. And Iraq today, where, Mesopotamia would have been, or is that
was
is a lot of marshland, and it's productive marshland, right?
Right. So the south of Iraq is very kind of dense marsh. A lot of it was drained by Saddam Hussein. They're trying to restore it, and they have kind of structures made of reeds there, and we can look at Mesopotamian depictions and see very similar structures built of reeds all the way back 3,000 years ago.
Right, so I think that explains why it also gives you production.
Yeah, ziggurats also usually have a temple on the top, and they have this kind of front staircase that goes up, and then 2 side staircases.
What's on the inside? Is it like the pyramids where there's a tomb?
It's just solid.
Right, so the temple will be on the top.
Yeah.
And moving on to Hanging Gardens. Now, this is the first wonder that actually is a wonder.
Right, a great wonder.
So what does that mean? What are wonders?
Well, the Great Wonders, the 7 Wonders, were a list that was created actually very late in Hellenistic and Roman times, actually. So very much towards the end of antiquity. Yeah, so different people. So Antipater of Sidon. I'm not sure if I'm saying that name right.
Probably not.
Probably not. Another one, Philo of Alexandria, a much more famous person. They created these lists of 7 wonders. Notably, in the original list, the walls of Babylon were actually a wonder. But later on, the Great Lighthouse replaced the walls of Babylon.
And they just had to keep it at 7. They're
had to
like,
keep it at 7.
We're not making it 8.
It's too many.
So I can't believe the walls of Babylon got booted.
I got booted, yeah.
What would you have booted?
Hanging Gardens, of course.
Right, because it didn't exist.
Fake, yeah.
But Hanging Gardens was one of these.
I probably would have booted Colossus, to be honest.
I agree. That's what I was going to say.
It only lasted 60 years. It's just a statue, big
Is
deal.
it made out of gold or something?
No, it's just made out of stone, but it has like a thin layer of gold on top of it.
Oh, okay. Well, I'm not impressed. But okay, Hanging Gardens is the first wonder we're building that's on this list of
canonical list
that sort of probably is what is the inspiration for wonders in the Civ game, because they have always had all the 7 wonders.
Yeah, like at Civ 3 they had all 7 wonders of the ancient world, and then later on the wonders are just like random buildings. Like there's no modern wonders at all.
So the Hanging Gardens gives you lots of growth.
Okay.
I don't remember. Right. I just build them.
Well, I think, Hanging Gardens, I'm not sure what the growth is about. I think probably it's just designed to kind of...
Well, isn't it a nod to irrigation?
Probably, yeah.
Right, to get these hanging gardens so magnificent, you had to have very technologically advanced irrigation skills.
Right.
And I think it's related to later on the Persian garden as well. This is probably why Petra gives you food as well. You need to have strong irrigation to create these gardens.
Right. Although from what we know, the Hanging Gardens was a decorative garden, right? It wasn't meant to provide huge amounts of food. It wasn't like a terrace
You still need
farm.
water for decorative flowers.
Right.
Yeah, but I will say, out of all the wonders that, I needed to get in the ancient era, Hanging Gardens, I think, is the weakest one. Stonehenge is obviously one of the strongest ones. You just get your religion out of the way. Then it's Edim and Enki, because you need that science to then unlock all the next wonders. And then you see, now I'm also working on the pyramids. This is so key, not only because we've been there, but it also gives you extra build charge forever on all your builders.
Right.
This is so important for this challenge. So if I didn't build the pyramids in this game, I would quit, because also we've been there.
Right. Yes.
So let's talk about the pyramids.
Yeah, very famously, I embarrassed myself in the previous video by claiming the pyramids were built using a straight ramp.
No, you said spiral. No, you
I
said
straight ramp.
The video showed them doing it in a spiral on the outside.
But we currently believe it was an interior spiral. So,
which once we get to the animation here, they do show it inside. Yeah. So they know the truth.
They know the truth.
But the pyramids I think something a lot of people don't know is that they have this thing you call a slant, a straight edge.
A straight edge, yes.
It was covered in limestone, right?
Right, yes. And one of the pyramids
I don't know. Is that a famous fact?
Yeah, why not?
Okay, well, I guess everyone knows this.
Yeah, but famously, the limestone on the pyramids was mostly removed. I mean, everybody quarried the pyramids for materials. The Romans did it, the Ptolemaic rulers did it, the Islamic kingdoms and caliphates did it. So it's always happened.
It's always been pillaged.
It's always been pillaged. It was robbed in antiquity.
And the gold tip was pillaged,
Gold
right?
tip was pillaged, yes. The idea of preserving the pyramids is a very new idea.
So funny. No other civilization was like, let's preserve this really great looking thing.
It was always a wonder. I mean, it was a tourist attraction even in antiquity. Everyone wanted to go visit the pyramids.
So they could get their share. Ship off. I mean, we still do that today,
I mean,
don't
very
we?
famously, if you go inside the pyramids, which we did not because you have to pay extra, the first Italian guy that went inside just scratched his name like, in huge
God.
letters over the tomb.
What's his name?
I forget his name. So
Well,
it
it didn't even work.
didn't even work, yeah. But
Yeah, we went all the way to Cairo and went all the way to the pyramids, which is not that far from Cairo. It's actually right next to Cairo. It's basically in the city. And then once we got there, we're like, we're not going to pay this like $20 to go inside because that's too expensive. And that's actually the story of a lot of visits we've made because we've done them during our college years.
yeah.
We were broke. We're still a little broke, but not as broke. As if I went today, maybe I would have $20 to go inside. I mean, what am I talking about? It was like last
Yeah,
year.
that's our last $20.
No, we just went last year. Yes. So what did you think about going to the pyramids? Would you recommend it?
Yeah, I would recommend it. It's an interesting experience for sure. It's definitely, if you don't like crowds, I would not go. Here it is. Let's see.
Yeah, let's look at this animation. As you see, look at that interior spiral.
That's the interior spiral there.
Interior scaffolding. They knew what they were doing. I don't think we get this in Civ 7. From what I've seen, they were getting rid of this like construction animation that shows it in such detail. It was more like in steps,
Right.
but maybe it's just not done yet. We'll
Yeah,
see.
for sure.
Yeah.
And one interesting thing is if you go, a little bit south of Giza, people say, how could they build the pyramids? It's so incredible. It's so amazing. But if you go south of Giza, you see their pyramid experimentation yard. They messed up so many pyramids before they got it right.
And speaking of building the pyramids, why does it give you the bonuses it does? Why does it give you extra labor, basically?
I think it's just designed to show what an incredible work of human resources it was.
Yeah, there's this sort of old idea that it was built from slave labor that no longer is believed to be true. I mean, we know that's not true
We know it's
anymore.
not true.
And instead, it was like the Bidenomics infrastructure plan. Okay, and now with the end of the ancient era in the game, even though we haven't gotten all the ancient era wonders, this is probably a good place to stop. We've gotten Edamanaki, pyramids, Stonehenge, Great Bath, and we are working on Hanging Garden. We'll see you in the next one. Let's see how many more wonders we can get in the classical era, which a lot more we've been to.
Yeah, very dangerous time period for us.
Yes,
so.
it's gonna be tricky. Stay tuned.
See you.